ultimate grid for the weekend in Christchurch. It is the reverse grid. Tim Edgell and David Hopper make up the first row. Row 2 start for Andy Knight. Another one to watch out for alongside Nick Ross. Moving back to the next row, row 3, we have William Bamber and Simon Richards. Both these guys know how to turn it on when they need to. And following back another row, we've got Scott McLaughlin and Andrew Anderson. Andrew will be a big mover in this race. Go back to the 5th row for Wade Henshaw, who showed some good speed in race number 1 alongside Martin Short. And then a row 6 start for John Penny in the Ford and Paul Manuel in the Holden Commodore. But then you've got stablemates Eddie Bow and Jason Barguana. Jason, he's had a lot of fun this weekend, and I know he's up to big things. We then move back to Andy Booth and Angus Fogg. This is where the action is going to start unfolding with these fast guys. That's an exciting row to say the least. Go back to Craig Baird and John McIntyre. And completing the grid lineup, it is Kane Scott all the way back on grid number 19. There's the speed gun. That's been one of the things that's factored in this weekend. Tim Edgell leading them down to the green. The longest race of the weekend. 20 laps of action guaranteed. Let them go down to the kick in turn number 2. Tim Edgell gets the initial jump. Andy Knight slots right in behind the Chester's Ford. A lot of tyre smoke so far. Andy Anderson was one of them. Paul Manuel was right in behind, on board with Martin Short in the Zone Ford. Trying to get a run on John Penny in the Penny Homes car. Paul Manuel off. The Oryx Commodore, he's not going to repeat his heroics from a year ago. Here we go, Andrew Anderson. I think that is down the inside. It's all happening, isn't it? Yeah, just got side by side together there with William Bamber as Eddie Bell and Jason Barguana getting hung out to dry on the outside off the exit of the hairpin. On board with Kane Scott. There's Johnny Mack. Angus Fogg immediately in front. Craig Baird just in front of them. He's got up the inside of Andy Booth. Willie Bamber just dropping a couple of wheels off through the infield. Scott McLaughlin and Eddie Bell just ahead again. Barguana on the outside, and he's copped that a couple of corners and losing positions, the Australian. Spoke to him for this race, and he reckons everybody is completely mad in this, and he might wait for 1 or 2 laps to establish himself, but he's just run wide off turn number 8 and lost another spot in the juiced up Rock Energy drinks. Here's the peak antifreeze replay. This is Manuel going off. Now, is something broken there? Yeah, you hit the nail on the head. Something had to go wrong because it was such a unique position for him to go off, and he just coasted off. On board with John McIntyre and the Amcor Falcons. So, yeah, just peeling off to the outside of the circuit. I think... Well, he's still staying out there. Hard to see. We'll just watch the lap scoring. I think Manuel now dropping to the tail of the scoring. So, I think something has broken. One of the cars up in front. I don't know who that is. It's, there's a lot of smoke up into 2 on board with Kane Scott. Who is that? It's Jason Barguana, possibly. He's certainly losing more ground and falling back into the clutches of the leaders. Well, the faster guys trying to work their way through with this reverse grid race. Spoke to the Tim Edgell team before this race, and that actually saved all their good tyres. So this set of tyres that's on this car, here we go, it's John Penny dragging the front splitter. That's not ideal, because if that gets caught underneath that front tyre, it's just going to spit him off the track. So John Penny, there's been some contact damage, left front tyre for Jason Barguana. Here's the peak antifreeze replay. Scott McLaughlin off the curbs, under brakes, into the side, I think initially of Eddie Bell, and I think John Penny might have just clipped him on the way past there. So it's already started. Tim Edgell out in front, chased by Andy Knight. There's Paul Manuel, he is in the pits, and it looks to be race over for the Oryx Commodore. So Nick Ross in the 3rd position in the total Holden. I think Wade Henshaw in that 4th spot. There's now, do you see that bit of debris that fell off in the back? That's actually one of the brake ducts of one of the cars. Whoever's car has fallen off, they're going to suffer and suffer bad. Now, that car's smoking. Yeah, Tim Edgell just showing some signs of smoke. Yeah, possibly. It's actually possibly the brake duct from his car. Something's coming down, dragging on one of the tyres. So Paul Manuel, we're getting the word from the pits that he has broken a tie rod, so damaged steering for the Oryx Commodore. So Tim Edgell, yeah, just saw some hints of smoke down on the main straight. Lap 3 of 20, Andy Knight second. Go back to Nick Ross, Wade Henshaw. Well, let's go back, look at the guys that are actually going for the round win and probably the championship battle. Craig Baird already up to 9th, Angus Fogg up to 11th, Johnny McIntyre up there as well, Kane Scott, Andy Booth. So all those guys in the championship hunt
line astern, right in the middle of the pack.
Johnny Mack for the round on 142, Beard on 129, Kane Scott 120, Fogg 116, Booth 103. And the championship really has changed. Johnny Mack can't get away around David Hopper through the infield as Johnny Mack's got by Willie Bamber. There's Jason Barguana in the pits to replace that left front tyre. It's about this time we start getting calculators out and trying to figure out how the round's going to work out for the championship. Craig Baird with a 6-point advantage going into this race over Johnny McIntyre, 298 to 292.
Well, what's happening now? Johnny McIntyre's lost a place to William Bamber. We didn't expect that. Maybe Johnny was trying to set himself up for David Hopper and just got caught napping a bit.
Yeah, John still hasn't been able to get around David Hopper. Angus Fogg, third in the championship on 286, 12 points out of the lead. Kane Scott's gone from 10th to 4th. In the space of 2 races. Tim Edgell has gone from 3rd to 6th after his drive shaft problems in race number 1. McIntyre this time with a run on Hopper.
Yeah, he got past William Bamber as well, so maybe just maybe he got caught napping there by William. These guys have got nothing to lose, so they're going to take the battle to the championship contenders, that's for sure.
So a couple of cars between John McIntyre and Kane Scott. McIntyre struggled somewhat in the first heat. He was 4th for the majority before the retirement of Tim Edgell, and then gained another spot with the penalty assessed for Kane Scott for breaching the starting rules. So a 2nd place finish in race 1. He won the 2nd race, so I mean, out of a tough start really for him. He's he's on track possibly for the round win as we go on board with Kane Scott, with Andy Booth out the back of the Fujitsu Ford.
And sometimes that's the best thing to do, is slot behind the car in front, especially if he's a little bit quicker than you or just as quick as you. Let him pave the way for you, so to speak, in these reverse grid races. And then when you get towards the front, then start having a good battle.
Back on board with Kane Scott.
Now, you can actually hear a bit of a tap, tap, tap noise, like it's got a flat spotted tyre.
Well, we'll keep an eye on that as Tim Edgell continues to lead from Andy Knight. Andy Knight's actually a shade quicker in outright lap speed by only 4/100ths of a second, 131.448 versus Timmy Edgell's 131.488. The gap at the line is at 0.6 of a second, so actually extended a little bit just in that last half of a lap.
Yeah, from around out lap 12 onwards, we're going to see whichever car lost that brake duct we talked about, that's when that car will start suffering.
We're just going back to John Penny. It may be off the John Penny car that was dragging its front splitter.
Yeah, very good point, actually. If it's going to come off anybody, it would have been him, because majority of the front of the car would have been exposed at that point.
So manual is a retirement. I would suggest that Scott McLaughlin, with a fair bit of damage to the super cheap auto Holden, is also pit side, if not replacing parts, possibly out, because that was pretty big contact at the hairpin. So there's Baird and Fogg. They're up into the 6th and 7th positions. John McIntyre in 9th. On board with Martin Short in the 12th position in the zone forward. It's Andy Booth just up ahead. Had some issues in the 2nd race of the weekend. I think he was involved in an altercation that saw Wade Henshaw fire off through pothole on the opening lap of race number 2. Again, continuing to do a pretty solid job with another top 10 finish in race number 1. So there's John McIntyre. The Amcor Falcon now in the 8th position. Craig Baird 6th, Angus Fogg 7th. So that's the 3 guys who we're really watching, other than Kane Scott, for the round. Just 6 points the difference between Baird and McIntyre for the championship lead.
Looking at the last lot of lap times, we've got Angus Fogg quickest on a 30.5. Then Kane Scott 30.8, Craig Baird 30.8, Johnny McIntyre, interestingly though, at a 31.6, and he has relatively clean traffic. So maybe, just maybe, they actually haven't got the best set of tyres left for this race.
Yeah, talking to Kevin Williams for Angus Fogg, they were pretty happy with their tyre set for the final race. So I mean, you'd have to think right now that Johnny Mack would probably have enough up his sleeve for the round win. We'll work that out. There's still a lot of racing left to go here. We're only on lap 6 of 20 for the final here. Here's Kane Scott in the Fujitsu Ford. They've shown good pace, and they just lost a little bit of speed in that second race, Mark, where some of the other teams have made some changes and maybe the track's come back to them and just caught up to the pace of the Fujitsu Ford.
Yeah, they'd set the car up for the hot conditions, and this morning they decided to leave it and just let the circuit and the temperature come back to them, and it's exactly what we're seeing now. We know that car was lightning quick in qualifying and very similar conditions to today. So, look, it's a long race. We're only a third of the way through it. A lot of racing to go.
Yeah, Tim Edgell, Andy Knight 1 and 2, and they got about a 5-second advantage over the third place Nick Ross. Talking to Kevin Williams again, just a whisper smoke there from Tim Edgell. Talking to Kevin Williams, he alluded to the fact they didn't make any changes between races 1 and 2 for Angus Fogg's cars, and like you were explaining, just let the track come back to them.
Yeah, sometimes it's the best thing to do, because if you go and try and chase the conditions of the day, it's very easy to get outside that window of opportunity, which is a very small window at the best of times. Out-engineer yourself, it happens all the time.
So Craig Baird up to 6, Angus Fogg 7th, John McIntyre in the 8th position. This is first and second, Tim Edgell and Andy Knight. Tim Edgell with that broken drive shaft in race number 1, and Andy Knight wasn't real happy. He got turned around by John McIntyre at the start of race number 1, which I believe nothing came out of that, Mark.
No, it was a bit of an inquiry, but they put it all down to a racing incident. But if we look just behind these guys, 5 seconds down the track, we've got Wade Henshaw. Now, he started right in the middle of the pack there. He's already up to 4th. He's got a lot of car speed, and he's hoping for big things in this race because he's a hometown hero. He's a hard charger, one of the hardest we've ever seen.
Well, he's got Nick Ross to try and line up for the 3rd position, with Simon Richards having a solid run early. Craig Baird, the first of the real quick boys to come through. Henshaw had a 6th place finish in race number 1, and they were pretty happy with that. They made some spring changes for race 2, but we saw in one of the highlights he went spearing off through the back of pothole in the back of shot, and that's obviously compromised his race.
Yeah, speaking to Wade in between races, he thinks he got a bit of assistance, and Jason Barguana might be one of the culprits there. So, look, hard done by, but to say it's the first time in the championship for him this year, and he's doing a sterling job.
Yeah, a little bit of a oversteer under brakes. He makes the pass on Nick Ross for the 3rd position.
It's going to be interesting now. He's been released from Nick Ross, clean air in front of him about how quick he can be. But look behind, look who's coming up. There's Johnny McIntyre in the distance, Angus Fogg, Kane Scott's back there, and Craig Baird.
Baird and Foggy, Nick Ross around.
Okay, well, that's how Angus Fogg just got past Craig Baird, and Johnny McIntyre right there as well.
Well, yeah, Baird, wrong place, wrong time, just got caught out on the wrong part of the track. Was there some contact there with Nick Ross going around?
Yeah, there was.
Simon Richards?
You're in one of those. Here we go.
Here's the peak replay. Richards down the inside. Oh, just pinched a brake, and into the rear wheel he went, and around went Nick Ross.
Yeah, pretty ambitious move, because he come from a long way back and hit the back of the car. So we will expect that Eurodrive car to be in the pit lane very shortly for our 40km/h drive through.
Angus Fogg's going to look up the inside, so he is moving on through the LG Ford Falcon through to, I would say that'll be the 4th position, because Henshaw's just up track ahead in 3rd. Baird's going to try and get an inside run here on Richards also for the 5th spot. John McIntyre's made some big gains out of that, because he was a good 10 to 12 car lengths back. Is that Richards peeling off into pit lane already?
Yeah, look, he probably realised he's going to get a drive-through, so he might as well come through now and get it done.
It's just about the world's quickest drive-through call.
I don't know if they caught it, but he's suspicious. Look, there might have been a bit of damage to that. But when you're in that situation when a car's in front of you, you're either going to gain a lot of positions or lose, and we saw that with Angus Fogg. Just capitalised on it. Craig Baird lost. It's one of those things, mate.
So we're on board with John McIntyre looking for the round win, but it's Angus Fogg, the first of the real quick cars, through to the 4th spot. Don't go away. There's a lot more laps left to go in the final race from Powerbuilt Tools for the BNT V8s. Well, he's had a shocker weekend in the Porsche GT3s. Well, what is going to come out of that as John McIntyre continues to work him over? So Baird now up to 4th, McIntyre 5th, Henshaw got turned around. In the battle for position, Henshaw wasn't a lap car, but Angus Fogg is a fair way up the road from this battle right now, with Tim Edgell leading from Andy Knight. Well, could it be more drama here for Craig Baird? the championship leader by just 6 points. Here it is here, Mark, in the peak replay.
Yeah, actually, he was a long way down the inside of him, but once again, it's depending which view you look for, but either way, one car got around the corner, the other one didn't, so there will be a bit of an inquiry. Here we go, the McIntyre team saying, what's going on here?
There's Craig Baird trying to hold off John McIntyre. Runs a little bit wide. McIntyre maybe with a run to 8. No. Oh, you're right there, Mork. I think Craig may be just having some car balance issues. He's really working hard to stay ahead of the Amcor Falcon.
Yeah, look at this particular part of the race. Looks like it's struggling for back, but it's taken quite a big hit on the side of that. Look, it's right in the middle of the two wheels. No mechanical damage, probably more cosmetic. But look, he's dwindling on the back of this battle here. Kane Scott.
John McIntyre just pulling out of the draft just to get some air into the front air takes. The number 47. So Angus Fogg in third, 60 points. John McIntyre in fifth on 49. So that's a difference of just 11. So still the honours with John McIntyre for the round victory here at Powerful Tools as Kane Scott. He looks to be working hard in the Fujitsu Ford. Angus Fogg, the fastest driver on track on that last lap at a 1:30.8. Fastest lap, however, set by John McIntyre at a 1:30.420. And you've got to think at the moment here, Mark, Craig is probably just holding him up a little bit.
Oh, there's no doubt about that at all. I'm sure if Johnny McIntyre was released on the back of that car, he'd be a bit further up. But Timmy Edge or Andy Knight, they're 10.5 seconds up the road from Angus Fogg, who's battling for third. Those guys are trading similar lap time, so this is where the battle's going to be. This must be a close battle up front. 0.7 of a second, there's nothing in it from first to second.
Nick Ross in 8th, Andy Anderson in 9th, Martin Short in 10th. We're on board with the 10th place Short. Now, Short's still learning his way with these cars, and he's also, looking to earn some respect from the drivers around him. And Nick Ross and Andy Anderson both spell excitement.
It's at any time they certainly do. But look, let's take nothing away from Martin Short. It's the first time he's been to one of these technical tracks on one of these cars, and he's right up there with the establishment. The guys in front, 5, 6, up to 10-year veterans, doing an absolutely outstanding job being inside the top 10.
On board again with John McIntyre. As Andy Anderson's got to run up the inside of Nick Ross. Martin Short thinking about which way to go down towards 3. Anderson should have the line. Short's going to poke his nose in and see if he can get ahead of Nick Ross as well. Should have the line under, brakes into the hairpin.
I think so. We know Nick Ross won't concede this position easily. Look at this. Look at the top mirror there. You can see the Nick Ross car battling away. He's got him. Good move.
So Anderson up to 8th. Martin Short follows him through to 9th. And Kane Scott now right with John McIntyre and Craig Baird in the battle for 4th, 5th and 6th.
Johnny McIntyre has just become the meat in the sandwich. So that might actually protect Craig a little bit, because Johnny's going to have to be defensive or being aggressive at the same time. Not the ideal situation to be in with 5 laps to go.
On board with John McIntyre, just a hint of oversteer from the Amcor Falcon in that previous shot off the sweeper. Just before that, Kane Scott, we were on board with him. He had a fairly big twitch too on the run through 8 and 9. So Craig Baird still holds on to the spot, runs in a little bit deep. McIntyre's got the opportunity up the inside on the run to pothole, turn 3.
He's got him, but where's Kane Scott? Is he close enough to take advantage of this as well?
McIntyre's going to pick up the spot. Scott's not close enough,
No.
so Craig Baird looks to be maybe in tyre trouble.
I think Kane Scott's got him as well, actually. I think we're going to see him go right down the inside.
Under brakes at the hairpin.
Yep, got him.
Makes the pass, so Craig Baird losing 2 positions. Now that's going to help Angus Fogg, because that's just put 2 more cars between himself and Craig Baird. But John McIntyre still in the box seat for the round victory. Through to the 4th position goes the 2-time former BNT V8 champion. There's 5 championships in that picture, with 2 with Johnny Mac, 2 with Kane Scott, and the defending BNT V8 champion Craig Baird in the United Video Ford. So Andy Anderson and Martin Short starting to drive away now from Nick Ross. 8th, 9th and 10th. Andy Booth in 7th. So can Martin Short launch an attack here on Andrew Anderson? And Edgell has extended over Andy Knight. Knight in the Century Batteries Ford Falcon. Timmy Edgell, of course, in the familiar Chester's colours on the Edgell family-run Falcon. So that gap now out to 2 seconds.
Yeah, the last lap or so, isn't it? It's just slowly pulling out half a second to a second a lap. 2.1 seconds, it was only half a second 5 or 6 laps ago. So Timmy Edgell, you can't help but think, let's don't hope we put the commentator's curse on him, that he's going to come through and take the spoils for this last race.
Looking to be the 4th different race season for the 10-11 Motorsport New Zealand Premier Race Championship Series and the BNT V8s. There's Angus Fogg. Again, just keeping up that maturity. He had a little moment in race number 2, but gathered it all back up. And in race number 1, he dropped way back and still salvaged something out of the weekend.
It was interesting. I was speaking to Kevin Williams, the team owner, from this, and they were saying that in the previous race when he was behind Johnny McIntyre, Johnny was using all the curbs, and I think Angus was reporting back about his thoughts that maybe Johnny should have been penalised, and they managed to actually tell Angus to settle down, take a deep breath, which he responded to. And that's all part of the maturity that we've been speaking about with Angus Fogg, and his own self-confession, that's what he's been working on.
A little bit of smoke out of the back of the LG Ford. Yeah, I had the same conversation with Kevin. He alluded to the fact that Foggy was rather animated on the radio, but yeah, they just told him to calm down and concentrate on what he needed to do. But just like Timmy Edgell, there was just a hint of smoke. There it is again through the left-hand sweeper onto the main straight.
Because it's only a puff and she's not pouring out smoke, there is no way will they do anything about that.
There's John McIntyre in the 4th position. Kane Scott 5th. Craig Baird now in 6th. So Kane Scott has got around Angus Fogg on board with John McIntyre in the M-Corp Ford. So McIntyre looking for the round win, but championship-wise, we think that it's going to be McIntyre and Fogg tied. That's right, Mark?
Yeah, on 346 points each. Then we go back to Craig Baird on 343. So look,
3 points covering the top 3 in the championship. Here's this fantastic onboard shot looking at the left side of the M-Corp Falcon. Sun getting low in the afternoon sky, just reflecting off the cameras. There's Andy Knight. Well, he'll salvage something out of this weekend. He was pretty solid in qualifying. It all went wrong for him in the first heat when he got turned around after contact with John McIntyre at the hairpin. And Tim Edgell looking for his first win for the new season here at Powerbuilt Tools Raceway.
And the confidence these guys will take going into the Christmas break, they'll know that they're just one on a very fast technical track like Powerbuilt Speedway. They're going to Timaru and Cargill in the new year. They're going to build on this platform. Timmy Edgell, they'll be back to speed again. It's just a matter of time.
Here's Martin Short. Well, he hasn't got away from Andy Anderson. He's got around him, but he's not getting away. Eddie Bell latches himself onto the back of the ITM Commodore. So Short's just made that pass in the last lap for the 8th spot.
Right now, it's probably 55 degrees centigrade inside these cars. There is very little cooling, if any cooling at all. The cars and all the tyres, the brakes and everything was had to use by date because it's so hot. The track's playing its part in this as well. But Martin Short, hat off to you, mate. You're doing a sterling job.
Just looking at the lap times more, all of the top 6 are in that high 30s. Low 31s. Anderson with a big brake lock up. Eddie Bell, he just about turned right in avoidance, and there's Andy running wide up the exit. Eddie Bell picks up the 9th position.
So he just had to be there, didn't he, and capitalise when something went wrong with one of the 2 cars in front. That's exactly what we saw.
I think there was a moment there where Eddie went, just where are you going, Andy?
Should I go the outside or the inside? And sometimes patience is the best means.
So Short in 8th, Bell 9th, Andy Anderson in the 10th position. Just a couple to go. Timmy Edgell looking for victory. This will go towards some way of correcting his tough weekend after that drive shaft broke in race number 1. Went into this race 6th in the points, and he may be able to sneak ahead of Andy Booth. Here is the final lap. Last lap board is out for Tim Edgell.
Now let's go back a year when Paul Manuel was leading this race in the rain at this particular part.
I don't think Timmy has that in him.
No.
I don't think he would, no. And you're not going to do that in dry conditions, Mork.
No, and I think if he even attempted it, that his father would probably kill him.
I didn't see it. I was in an aeroplane back to Auckland at that stage. I heard about it as I got on the aeroplane. I couldn't believe it myself, but I don't think we're going to see something like that here on the last lap of 20 for the final race here at Park Raceway. Tim Edgell doing the job. He hasn't put a foot wrong. Andy Knight, he's stayed within 2 seconds behind him, and again, Andy hasn't made too many mistakes in this one either. So the Chesters forward through the infield for the final time. John McIntyre looking for the round win, and we should have equal joint points leaders in the BNT V8s heading to round number 3. John McIntyre and Angus Fogg. So Tim Edgell, here's Andy Knight in the Century car.
Both these guys, admittedly they started from the front, but they've just done a sterling job. They've kept the cars clean, they've stayed out of each other's way. First and second, congratulations guys, outstanding result.
Tim Edgell will take the checkered flag in the final race from Christchurch for the BNT V8s. Andy Knight crosses the line in second, the hometown favourite. Angus Fogg will cross the line in third, just 7.5 seconds down on Tim Edgell. John McIntyre fourth, Kane Scott in fifth in the Fujitsu Ford, bringing him back into championship contention. A strong weekend for the Fujitsu team with Craig Baird in sixth, but it's the honours for Tim Edgell in the race. We've got the joint points leaders in the BNT V8s, Johnny Mack and Angus Fogg. Tim Edgell becomes the 4th different winner in the BNT V8 Championship for the 10-11 season in the reverse grid finale here at Powerful Tools Raceway. Andy Knight in second, Angus Fogg third, followed by John McIntyre, Kane Scott and Craig Baird. There's just 3 points separating the top 3 in the championship, heading to round number 3.